Here's a more detailed timeline, expanding on the development of Blackcomb, which was the precursor to Windows 7 and a key part of its history. 1. Early 2000s, Blackcomb's conception, initial planning, 2001 to 2003. After the release of Windows XP in 2001, Microsoft began planning for the next major version of Windows. At first, Blackcomb was envisioned as a highly ambitious release, with the goal of being a major overhaul of the Windows operating system. Blackcomb was expected to introduce radical changes, including new technologies, a new kernel, and a significant rethinking of the Windows architecture. It was seen as the successor to XP, but Microsoft didn't publicly confirm a release date at this stage. 2. Mid-2000s, transition to Vienna, 2003 to 2004. The vision for Blackcomb began to evolve. Development teams encountered significant challenges, especially with the overly ambitious goals and the complexity of the project. Microsoft faced delays due to the scope of the changes they intended to introduce. By 2004, Blackcomb was not progressing as smoothly as anticipated, and Microsoft started to scale back its plans. This led to a shift toward a more incremental release, Vienna, which would incorporate some elements of Blackcomb but in a more manageable scope. 3. 2005 to 2006, Vista development. As development on Blackcomb stalled, Microsoft realized that releasing such a radical redesign of Windows could be too disruptive. They decided to release Windows Vista, initially known as Longhorn, first, as a transitional version that would improve on Windows XP while still allowing time for the more ambitious Blackcomb to develop. Vista's release, Windows Vista, was released in 2007, and while it introduced several new features, it was not as groundbreaking as Blackcomb had originally been planned to be. 4. 2007, birth of Windows 7, post-Vista era. After Vista's release, Microsoft refocused efforts on a new, more refined version of Windows, taking lessons from Vista's reception. The development of Windows 7 effectively began in earnest, as Microsoft sought to address Vista's criticisms, including performance issues, compatibility, and user experience. Blackcomb's legacy. Blackcomb's ambitious ideas and some of its core features would not go to waste, though. Many elements of Blackcomb, such as new visual styles, improved security, and a stronger focus on user experience, were incorporated into the development of Windows 7, but they were scaled back and implemented more thoughtfully. 5. 2008 to 2009, Windows 7 development. By the end of 2008, the development of Windows 7 was well underway. Microsoft shifted from the Vienna project, which was initially part of the plan to continue Blackcomb's legacy, to what became known as Windows 7, a more refined and performance-focused version of the OS, aiming to improve Vista's issues without overhauling everything radically. Blackcomb's influence. Some of the features from Blackcomb that were too ambitious for Vista, such as advanced graphical user interfaces and better integration of search and networking features, were simplified and added to Windows 7. The development approach changed from a complete overhaul to a more revolutionary one. 6. 2009, final stages of Windows 7, release candidate RTM. After receiving positive feedback from the beta and RC stages, Windows 7 was finalized and released to manufacturing in August 2009, with general availability to the public on October 22, 2009. Post-Blackcomb era. While Blackcomb had been intended as a revolutionary OS, its development contributed valuable lessons. The focus on making Windows 7 faster, more stable, and user-friendly was directly influenced by what had been learned during Blackcomb's troubled development. Windows 7 ultimately became a very successful release, praised for its performance improvements and user experience compared to Vista. Summary: Blackcomb started in the early 2000s as an ambitious successor to Windows XP but faced challenges due to its large scope. The shift toward Vienna in 2004 led to Vista's development. After Vista's release and its mixed reception, Microsoft used the lessons learned from Blackcomb and Vista to create Windows 7, which launched in 2009. Blackcomb's core ideas and some of its features were distilled into a more user-friendly and performance-focused Windows 7, marking a return to success for Microsoft after the Vista era. For Mini,